On February 28, 2026, the long-standing shadow war between Israel and Iran ended in a massive, coordinated preemptive strike by Israeli and American stealth aircraft. Command centers for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps were hit simultaneously, alongside major nuclear facilities in Tehran, Isfahan, and Natanz. Intelligence warned Tehran was within days of a nuclear test. The strike aimed to permanently cripple the industrial infrastructure required to weaponize uranium. The decision to execute a preemptive strike to guarantee Israeli survival instantly triggered an irreversible regional war. During the heavy bombardment of Tehran, a strike hit a key command structure. Among the casualties was Iran's head of state, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. The immediate power vacuum in the clerical establishment was swiftly filled. Within hours, the assembly appointed his son, Mujtaba Khamenei, to assume total control. In his first public address, the new leader issued a direct directive. Israel would be erased from the map, and the United States would be taught a historic lesson. The assassination of the supreme leader stripped away any lingering tactical constraints. The original mission, to merely delay a nuclear program, had now evolved into a massive existential conflict driven by pure regional revenge. By the first week of March, Iran retaliated. They launched hundreds of ballistic missiles, specifically the solid-fueled Sajil and the highly maneuverable Khaibar Shakhan, directly at major Israeli cities and air bases. Israel's primary air defense networks, the Iron Dome and Arrow systems, intercepted dozens of incoming threats. However, the sheer volume of the barrage overwhelmed the defensive net, and multiple warheads struck densely populated urban centers. At the same time, Iran activated its regional alliances. From the Lebanese border to the north, Hezbollah forces fired thousands of unguided rockets deep into Israeli territory, forcing an immediate ground incursion by Israel to secure the area. To the south, Houthi militants in Yemen escalated their strikes on commercial and military shipping in the Red Sea, while launching long-range drones at the southern Israeli port of Eilat. Iran's strategy was clear. By coordinating simultaneous fire from Lebanon, Yemen, and its own borders, Tehran forced its adversary into a multi-front siege. The kinetic military action soon merged with severe economic tactics. By mid-March, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi officially declared the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow, vital shipping channel between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, closed to all enemy vessels. This chart tracks global crude oil prices over the month of March, showing a violent vertical spike right at the date of the closure. A massive percentage of the world's daily oil consumption travels through this choke point, choking global supply instantly. Tehran then extended its warning to neutral Gulf states. The Iranian military threatened to strike the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia if they allowed American jets to use their airspace. Hours later, a drone detonated near Dubai's international airport, grounding all commercial flights. By holding the global oil supply hostage, the combatants ensured the fallout could not be contained to the Middle East. The fighting was now actively destabilizing the global economy. The United States, under the Trump administration, committed to absolute military support for Israel. American aircraft carriers stationed in the Persian Gulf began launching daily sustained strikes against Iranian air defense networks. On the other side of the geopolitical divide, Beijing and Moscow issued official condemnations of the Western airstrikes. While avoiding direct military confrontation, both nations quietly routed critical satellite intelligence and diplomatic backing to Tehran, but Beijing faced a unique friction point. Because the Chinese economy is heavily dependent on Gulf oil imports, its diplomats had to simultaneously exert intense pressure on Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Between the proxy warfare on the ground and the economic choke points at sea, the conflict forced the world's nuclear powers into an increasingly tense geopolitical confrontation. By March 16th, the human toll was massive. Official reports recorded over 1,800 casualties, heavily weighted toward civilians, as the continuous bombardments hollowed out densely populated urban centers. Hundreds of thousands of residents in Tehran and Beirut were forced to live indefinitely in subterranean bunkers to survive the air raids. Across the border, entire cities in northern Israel had to be completely evacuated. But the deepest anxiety for the international community is what happens if the conventional warfare exhausts itself. There is a paralyzing fear that a cornered Iran will quickly weaponize its surviving nuclear material, or that Israel will deploy an atomic weapon first to stop them. The escalation has reached a point where the very nuclear materials the first strikes aimed to neutralize are now the primary threat to global stability.